Grab your EMF readers and spirit boxes because today we're about to embark on a ghostly adventure that will leave you sleeping with the lights on. That's the beauty of the unknown, right? It keeps us guessing, keeps us on the edge of our seats. And trust me, these cemeteries are filled with enough eerie tales and unexplained phenomena to make even the biggest skeptic question everything. From coast to coast, we'll be exploring the final resting places of countless souls, some at peace, others not so much. We're talking about shadowy figures lurking among the tombstones, disembodied voices whispering on the wind, and maybe, just maybe, a ghostly apparition or two. So whether you're a seasoned ghost hunter or just a curious soul with a penchant for the paranormal, join us as we delve into the history, the mystery, and the downright creepy vibes of America's most haunted cemeteries. Let's see if we can't stir up some spirits, shall we? Welcome to Screamville. Our first stop on this eerie escapade takes us to the outskirts of Chicago, to a place called Bachelors Cemetery. Now, this isn't your average graveyard. Oh no, this place is practically a celebrity in the paranormal world, and for good reason. See, Bachelors Grove has been a hotbed of strange activity for decades. People have reported seeing all sorts of creepy things here, from phantom vehicles to ghostly figures wandering amongst the trees. And let me tell you, this place is just dripping with that classic unsettling graveyard atmosphere. One of the most famous stories from Bachelors Grove is the legend of the phantom car. Imagine this. You're driving down the road late at night, and suddenly, your headlights illuminate a vintage car parked near the cemetery gates. But before you can even think about slamming on the brakes, poof, it vanishes into thin air. Some say it's the ghost of a car that crashed near the cemetery years ago, while others believe it's a portal to another dimension. Another well-known legend is that of the Phantom Farmhouse, a house that is said to appear and disappear at random in the woods near the cemetery. Those who claim to have seen the house describe it as an old, dilapidated farmhouse. When approached, the house vanishes, leaving witnesses bewildered. The origins of this legend are unclear, but it has persisted over the years and is often cited in accounts of paranormal activity at Bachelors Grove. This legend involves the ghost of a farmer who is said to haunt the area around the cemetery. According to the legend, the farmer was plowing his field near the cemetery when he and his horse were pulled into the nearby pond, drowning both of them. Witnesses have reported seeing the spectral figure of a farmer and his horse walking along the pond's edge or emerging from the water. Bachelors Grove is home of many ghost stories, including the one of a ghost called Madonna. Is it truly haunted? All I know is I wouldn't want to be caught dead, or undead for that matter, in Bachelors Grove after dark. Our next stop, St. Louis Cemetery No. 1, a place so steeped in history and mystery, it's practically oozing with paranormal activity. Now, this isn't your typical sprawling graveyard. Oh no, St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 is more like a city of the dead, with its above-ground tombs packed tightly together, forming a maze of narrow walkways and crumbling mausoleums. It's like something out of a Gothic novel, only it's very, very real. This cemetery dates back to the 18th century, and let me tell you, it's seen its fair share of tragedy and turmoil. Yellow fever epidemics, hurricanes, fires, you name it. New Orleans has weathered it all, and St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 stands as a silent testament to the city's tumultuous past. With so much history packed into such a small space, it's no wonder that spirits are rumored to roam freely amongst the tombs. From heartbroken widows to mischievous children, the ghosts of St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 are as diverse as the city itself. But the most famous resident of St. Louis Cemetery No. 1 is undoubtedly Marie Laveau, the legendary voodoo queen of New Orleans. Now, Marie was a powerful woman in her day, known for her healing powers, her knowledge of herbs and potions, and her ability to commune with the spirit world. Some say that even in death, Marie Laveau's spirit lingers in the cemetery, offering guidance and protection to those who seek her out. Of course, you might want to be careful what you wish for, because messing with voodoo can have some, shall we say, unexpected consequences. Visitors from all over the world flock to Marie Laveau's tomb, hoping to catch a glimpse of her spirit or leave offerings in exchange for good luck or a fulfilled wish. But be warned, legend has it that disturbing Marie's rest is a surefire way to bring down a whole heap of misfortune upon yourself. Whether you believe in the power of voodoo or not, there's no denying the palpable energy that surrounds Marie Laveau's tomb. It's a place where the veil between the living and the dead feels thin, and where the whispers of the spirit world seem to echo through the centuries. All right, let's set the scene, right? We're in Hollywood, land of broken dreams, and apparently some very restless spirits. Hollywood Forever Cemetery. It's not just a resting place for the stars, it's practically a who's who of Hollywood history. We're talking Rudolph Valentino, Jane Mansfield, heck, even Mickey Rooney decided to spend his afterlife here. But beneath the glitz and the glamour, there's a layer of spooky stories that would make even the most skeptical screenwriter raise an eyebrow. People have reported seeing apparitions, feeling cold spots, and experiencing all sorts of weird electronic malfunctions. You know, classic ghost stuff. It's enough to make you wonder if the drama of Hollywood follows some folks to the grave. One of the most famous ghostly residents here is Peg Entwistle, a young actress who tragically took her own life. Now, legend has it that she haunts the Hollywood sign, or at least the H where it all went down, appearing as a lady in 1930s attire. But Peg's not the only one making posthumous appearances. Oh no, we've also got the spirit of Clifton Webb, an actor known for his dapper style. They say he roams the cemetery, making sure his grave is looking tip-top. I guess some habits die hard, right? If these Hollywood legends are hanging around after they've punched their final ticket, you can bet they've got some stories to tell. So stick around because things are about to get even more interesting. Or should I say, spooky, let's just say. I'm glad I brought my EMF reader. All right, pack your bags because we're heading south to Savannah, Georgia, a city practically dripping in Spanish moss and ghost stories. And there's no place in Savannah more steeped in spooky lore than Bonaventure Cemetery. This place is very old, dating back to the 1800s. It's seen its fair share of yellow fever epidemics, duels, and all sorts of other Southern Gothic drama. I mean, the cemetery even inspired a book and a movie. Yeah, you heard me right. Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, ever heard of it? Spooky stuff. So you know this place has got to have a few restless spirits hanging around, and trust me, it does not disappoint. One of the most heartbreaking stories from Bonaventure is that of little Gracie Watson. She was a young girl who died tragically at the age of 6. Her parents were so devastated that they commissioned a life-size statue of her to be placed on her grave. Visitors claim that little Gracie's statue cries real tears, and some even say her shoes mysteriously vanish. I don't know about you, but that's a little too creepy for me. And then there's the legend of the Waving Girl, a figure often spotted near the river. Some say she's the ghost of a woman who waited for her sailor husband to return from sea. Others think she's just a friendly spirit guiding lost souls. Either way, it's enough to make you want to steer clear of the water at night. Well, folks, we're back in Illinois, but this time, we're trading the cornfields for something a little spookier, Resurrection Cemetery. Now, this place is huge, sprawling across hundreds of acres. It's like the Disneyland of cemeteries, except instead of Mickey Mouse, you might run into a ghost. And let me tell you, this place has its fair share of ghost stories. We're talking everything from phantom hitchhikers to vanishing figures to unexplained lights. It's enough to make you want to sleep with the lights on, even if you're not anywhere near a cemetery. One of the most famous legends associated with Resurrection Cemetery is that of Resurrection Mary. She's basically the ghost of a young woman who died in a car accident and now spends her afterlife hitchhiking along Archer Avenue. People claim to have picked her up only to have her vanish from the back seat. Some even say she leaves behind a single white glove. I don't know about you, but that's enough to make me stick to Uber. But Mary's not the only one haunting this place. There are stories of phantom monks, ghostly processions, and even a creepy old caretaker who might still be clocking in for work, even though he's been dead for decades. This place is basically a paranormal buffet, and I am officially full-on creeped out. All right, ghost enthusiasts and skeptics alike, Buckle up because we're headed to Salem, Massachusetts, Howard Street Cemetery. Established in 1637, this place has seen some things. I mean, it's older than the Salem witch trials, so you know it's got some stories. This cemetery is like a who's who of Salem's tragic past. We're talking victims of the witch trials, people lost at sea, and even those taken by disease. You can practically feel the weight of history pressing down on you, and believe me, it's heavy. Some even say it's haunted by the spirits of those who never found peace. Whether you believe in that kind of thing or not, you gotta admit, the atmosphere here is about as welcoming as a root canal. Now let's talk about the real star of the show, the one and only weeping woman of Howard Street. Legend has it, this ghostly figure, dressed in all black, can be seen wandering the cemetery, mourning the loss of her children. Some say she's a total fabrication, a spooky story to keep tourists away. But others, well, they claim to have seen her with their own two eyes, sobbing uncontrollably as she searches for her lost loved ones. I mean, just picture it. You're walking through this ancient cemetery, the wind whistling through the trees, and suddenly you hear a gut-wrenching sob. You turn around and there she is, a vision of sorrow and despair, whether it's real or just a figment of our collective imaginations. The weeping woman is a chilling reminder of the pain and loss that Howard Street Cemetery has witnessed throughout the centuries. Next up, we're diving headfirst into a classic Sleepy Hollow Cemetery in New York. You know this place, you've heard the stories. This isn't just any old graveyard. This is where Washington Irving's The Legend of Sleepy Hollow comes to life. This place is crawling with history, and let me tell you, some of it's downright spooky. We're talking about the actual burial ground that inspired one of the most famous ghost stories of all time. The energy here is different, you know? It's like the line between fact and fiction gets blurry. You walk these paths and you can't help but feel like you're stepping into the pages of Irving's tale. Of course, no trip to Sleepy Hollow Cemetery would be complete without mentioning the Headless Horseman himself. The legend of this vengeful spirit, forever searching for his missing head, has haunted these grounds for centuries. Some say it's just a campfire story, a way to scare kids and tourists. But others, they claim to have seen him, riding through the fog, his ghostly steed kicking up dust as he searches for his lost cranium. I mean, picture this. You're walking through the cemetery, the sun setting, casting long, creepy shadows. You hear the sound of hooves pounding the ground, getting closer and closer. You turn and bam, there he is, the Headless Horseman in all his terrifying glory. Whether it's real or just a product of our collective imaginations, the legend of the Headless Horseman is alive and well in Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. All right, next up, we're heading down to Charleston, South Carolina. Picture this: cobblestone streets, Spanish moss hanging from the trees, and a cemetery that's older than America itself. That's Greyfriars Kirkyard, established in 1719. This place has seen it all. We're talking revolutions, epidemics, you name it. So, it shouldn't come as a surprise that it's rumored to be crawling with restless spirits. I mean, if I were a ghost, I'd probably set up shop in a place with good vibes and a killer view. One of the most famous residents is supposedly the ghost of Anne Bonny, a legendary female pirate. Yeah, you heard that right, a pirate. She was known for her fiery temper and ruthless nature, which, let's be honest, are great qualities in a ghost. They say she roams the kirkyard at night searching for treasure, or maybe just looking to pick a fight. Either way, I wouldn't want to run into her in a dark alley or a graveyard for that matter. But wait, there's more. Greyfriars is also home to the Veiled Lady. Now this is where things get interesting, or creepy, depending on how you look at it. Legend has it that she appears near a specific grave, always shrouded in a black veil. Some say she's mourning a lost love, others believe she's searching for something, or someone. This place is at the top of my must-avoid list. I mean, a pirate ghost and a mysterious veiled lady? That's not just a cemetery, that's a horror movie waiting to happen. So, if you ever find yourself wandering through Charleston at night and you see a shadowy figure in a veil, maybe just keep walking. You've been warned. Hold on to your hats, folks, because we're about to dive into a place steeped in history, mystery, and maybe a touch of mass hysteria. That's right, we're talking about Salem, Massachusetts, specifically the Salem Burying Point. Established in 1637, this isn't just any old cemetery. It's the final resting place for judges and victims of the infamous Salem witch trials. Talk about bad blood. I mean, imagine spending eternity next to the person who accused you of witchcraft. That's awkward, even for ghosts. Given its history, it's no surprise that Salem Cemetery is considered one of the most haunted places in America. Visitors have reported cold spots, disembodied voices, and even full-bodied apparitions. And let's not forget about Giles Corey, the poor guy who was pressed to death during the trials. They say his ghost still haunts the cemetery, seeking justice for his untimely demise. Now, I'm not one to shy away from a good haunting, but even I have to admit that Salem Cemetery has a certain heaviness to it. You can practically feel the weight of history pressing down on you. Some say it's the energy of the accused witches crying out for justice. Others believe it's the collective grief and paranoia of a community torn apart by fear. Whatever the cause, there's no denying that Salem Cemetery is a place of intense emotions. It's a stark reminder of the dangers of superstition and the importance of critical thinking. So, if you ever decide to visit, be respectful. These aren't just ghost stories, they're real people with real histories. And who knows, maybe you'll even catch a glimpse of something unexplainable. From restless pirates to vengeful spirits, we've covered it all. And I know what you're thinking. It's a lot more haunted cemeteries that were not covered. But don't worry, this is only part one of many to come. So stay tuned. Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-tingling content. And remember, the next time you visit a cemetery, you might not be alone.